Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and/or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and/or nonprofits. So, without any further ado, here's a man with a plan to put gold in your hand, Tony Hammock.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody out there in Axe Media Land?
Good morning.
This is Ace. In prime form, as you can probably hear or see if you're on YouTube. See you, Jason. We've got a big show, lots of material to cover. We don't have time for all the formalities, so we're going to get right into it. No, I'm just kidding. Steve, drive safe. Steve McAllister's leaving the building.
Take care, Steve. All right, you too, Asa. Thank you.
Anyway, so if you're in Southwest Missouri, you know that it is a wonderful morning out there. If you're not, you need to be. We've got some good things going on in this part of the country. We just are excited to have another opportunity to bring some of these alternative assets to you. The gold and the silver, there's just a lot of activity going on right now in those markets. So I know Asa has a full agenda. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Asa and let him kind of get underway here, and then we'll get into some of these other topics here quickly.
Yeah, speaking of some market activity, we had some market activity on our end, right? So some exciting thing happened.
Yeah.
You know, in the show we're always talking about the coin a month plan. So you have like the 3 options. You pay a subscription per month, and every month 7K Metals will do the work for you. They'll find whatever coin that you're subscribed to. They'll mail it to your house. It'll usually get there in 2 days. This one was no exception. At the beginning of the month, which is the time period I'm subscribed to get a coin every month, I got my Silver Eagle. So here it is. You can't quite see. This is a Louisiana Silver Eagle. So it's got, what is that, a little lobster?
Crawfish.
Crawfish, got it. You can tell I've never been to Louisiana. But yeah, so not only that, but this coin also comes with 7K Metals travel savings card. So this is a $125 travel savings card. So if you remember what we've talked about travel savings, you go on to 7K Metal Getaway or 7kgetaway.com.
7kgetaway.com, yes, sir.
Yeah, 7kgetaway.com. You can use your travel savings card to do a variety of things, such as get a hotel room, go do some fun activities, even some forms of transportation like ferries and such are all available. And it's pretty interesting because I'm only paying like $99 a month for the coin a month plan, and yet I'm getting the coin and $125 in travel savings, and which is a fantastic plan as long as I'm using the travel savings card. And I know that may seem difficult right now since travel is extremely limited, as it should be right now, but it's also a good thing to note that you can save them up. The cards themselves, before you redeem them, they last indefinitely, and then after you redeem them, they last for 18 months after you redeem them. So right now, I'm just holding on to my cards since I don't have really a chance to travel right now, and then later on, whenever the pandemic starts to slow down, I'll be able to use my cards. I'll be able to put them on the website, and then for 18 months, I can spend them however I want, and it'll be quite valuable because not only will I have such savings, I'll also be collecting gold and silver, and that's really the key part in today's environment. So on that note, and why it's important to collect gold and silver now, and why these coin-a-month plans are important, we should probably talk about what exactly the market's doing right now. We've been talking about how the market does not look to be good for the long term. It doesn't seem to be supporting long-term stability right now. Isn't that right?
Well, let's define which markets you're talking about. Because if you're talking about the gold and silver market.
Oh, not the gold and silver market. Good call, though.
Yeah.
The gold and silver market looks like it's going to be pretty good, but unfortunately that's because the United States market, stock market, is usually what I'm referring to, does not look to be doing well in the future. In fact, it seems there's many scholars that are estimating that in the future we're going to be seeing a downturn perhaps equal to what we saw in March. And if you remember in March, the market took such a hit that all we had to do to we all we did was restore what the market was before March, and that was like the greatest growth that the market's had in like 30 or 40 years.
Right. That's what I was complaining about last week, is everybody was like, "Oh, it's the best quarter since '81," and they weren't putting in there that March was like the worst month in a long time, maybe ever.
Yeah.
So we had a low bottom to kind of start from and stuff. But, with all that said, I mean, let's get into some pricing and stuff. I had the stewardship thing queued up there, but you know what? Some of this pricing is so interesting. I'd just like to kind of go ahead and get into it. Because if you've been watching for a while, you know what we talk about a lot, which is gold and silver. And you've heard some of our projections, not that past performance is indicative of a future performance, but just there's a lot of people that have a lot of reasons why the gold and silver are going up. So this morning, gold at 908 is $1,812.80. It's up $17 today, which means that's the highest it's been since 2011.
Wow.
So it's doing kind of what we thought. Silver's up to $18.75 an ounce. By the way, all these are precious metals, so the prices are by ounce. Platinum is 856. Palladium is 1,993, and rhodium is 8,500 an ounce. So all those are in the green, so to speak, for the day. The next ones are the base metals. These are by the pound, and they're all up today. So copper is $2.80 a pound. Nickel is $6.06. Aluminum is 74 cents. Zinc is 95 cents. Lead is 83 cents. And Ace's favorite, uranium.
What's uranium doing?
It's up 20 cents. It's up to $32.80.
Wow, what a bargain.
Oil, remember how just 5-6 weeks ago oil was negative? It was below zero on the futures contracts. Today, a barrel of oil is $40.74. The market so far, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 207 points. It's at 26,097. Everything's green today for the most part. I mean, there's one or two. Oh, well, the dollar's down, so that explains why gold's up. They kind of have an inverse relationship. But anyway, those are your prices for today. Let's go back to, let's see what the Bitcoin is doing, because we promised we would talk about Bitcoin someday.
Our cryptocurrencies update, that's right.
And Bitcoin, it's up 2.35. Bitcoin's at $9,429.73 a coin. Ethereum is $246.38. And Litecoin is $45.30. And there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies these days. I just do those three because they're probably the three largest as far as market cap, give or take there. But we're waiting for the right opportunity to talk about the cryptos, just because it's not for everybody. It's not for widows and orphans. It's going to be for your more ambitious, risk-taking type of accounts. And it's like a lot of things. There's a fewer percentage of those than there are the folks that need the gold and the silver and some of the other alternatives that we talk about. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of keeping the crypto out there. It's going to be a fun topic, and we're going to get into it, but not for now. Speaking of people and the different things that they should be looking at and so forth, the more conservative investors, we're always talking about gold and silver, but there are other products out there, and I am a licensed insurance agent. So one of the things we tried to get to last week and we didn't, one of my favorite companies now has 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, and 7-year fixed annuities. They call these things multi-year guarantee annuities. And just to give you some rates, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just I know some of you probably are, looking at interest rates around town or the region you live in and so forth. And all these amounts I'm going to give you are for $100,000 or more. But on the 3-year, it's for 2.2%. The 4-year is 2.65. The 5-year is 2.7. The 6-year is 2.7, and the 7-year is 2.75. And those are on fixed annuities. They'll issue those up to age 90, and there is a 10% penalty-free withdrawal beginning contract year 2. And we can get into all the other features and benefits. We won't. We'll save that for another show also and stuff. But if you're looking for competitive rates, give us a call. You can always reach me at 417-755-0700 or Tony at thegoldaffiliate.com.
So Tony, what's the advantage to me having a fixed annuity?
Well, one advantage is usually annuity rates are going to be higher than CD or certificate of deposit rates. Now, the big difference is annuities are issued by insurance companies and certificates of deposits are issued by banks. The other big advantage to annuities would be they are tax deferred. And, you know, to not get too complicated, a lot of people will talk about real rates of return. So, for example, let's say you're earning, 1% on a CD, and the inflation rate's running at 2. You're losing some of your purchasing power, and then of course you throw in whatever tax bracket you're in, and you're coming out in the red. Whereas if you can get 2.7 or 2.75 tax deferred, one, you don't even have to throw the taxes in just yet until you start taking it out down the road. And then, 2.75 is running a little bit higher than what they say inflation's running now at 2%. So there's just a plethora of features and benefits for both products, and the annuities for the right person who understands, that they have to tie their money up for, from 3 to 7 years in this example. It's a better way to go, I think, because you don't have to pay taxes as you go. You can wait until you start withdrawing the money.
Thank you.
Short answer.
Yeah, good answer. Thank you.
Now you did notice that Ace's coin was the Louisiana Silver Eagle, and there are 50 states, so there's 50.
There are?
There's 50 these days for the moment. I don't know. Has Trump done anything this morning so far?
I don't know. Let's check.
Anyway, there's 50 in the series, so a lot of folks are trying to collect all 50. I know I've got a New York one and a Florida one, and so forth. So maybe between the two of us, we can end up with 50. So we're excited about that. I'm always talking about people that I follow and everything. And this morning I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to print off some of these articles. Not that I'm going to read all these to you, because I know that would probably be super boring. But I do want to give you some ideas.
He saves that for me.
Yes, around the dinner table. I do want to give you some ideas of some of the headlines, let's say, as far as things that are going on out there. And, like, for example, here's one of my favorite ones from the Independent Speculator. Now, this was as of July 4th. Gold soars, like goes up, like Independence Day fireworks, but there's a more powerful rocket on the launch pad. And this particular gentleman is always writing about contrarian ideas. And so, I kind of was going through this morning. He says, I can see attention-grabbing headlines, gold to hit $2,021 before 2021. He just kind of goes into, here's the 5-year gold prices, and I wish Matt had us set up for graphics and all that kind of stuff, but if you can see this, you can see that the mountain chart is just going pretty much straight up. I mean, anytime you're looking at anything like this, you kind of take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but over there by Ace's hand, you can see here we are 5 years later and where gold's at now. And, just to give you some specific prices, gold was about $1,200 an ounce in April of 19, and it was about $1,400 and some an ounce when we started this year. And as I said earlier, it's over $1,800. And some of the reasons why they think gold's going to continue to go up is just a lot of it's these the uncertainty due to the COVID-19 and what it's doing to the market. Anytime there's a lot of uncertainty, people like to go to a safe haven, which is what gold and silver tend to be over time. Anyway, this gentleman just has a lot of good stuff on here. If you get a chance, you might look at the Independent Speculator. He is always kind of witty. He says, I expect much higher 4-digit gold prices in the not too distant future, and silver could reach 3 digits. And if you've been following us for a while, you know that silver, we think, there may be the most potential in the short term for silver, although gold is more of the long-term hold and stuff. So silver tends to be a little bit more volatile and stuff. And part of that is there's a lot of demand for silver from industrial applications. You know, the high-tech world, they use a lot of silver, and they do use some gold and some of the other metals we talked about. But the silver is a little bit more volatile just because of the supply and demand. Let me see here. I don't know why I printed that off, because there was no way I was going to read that much. Okay, so here's some headlines from Kitco News. And the power of gold above 1,800 and at the highest level since 2011. Let's see, Artemis closes. Here's one that's kind of interesting, since I was just talking about applications for gold and silver in industry. The world threw away $57 billion in gold, silver, copper found in e-waste. And consumers around the world threw away $57 billion last year, according to a report from the United Nations Global E-Waste Monitor 2020. So I know here in Springfield, we've got a recycling company out there off of, I believe that is West, what is that? West Chestnut, kind of out there by Hammers Auto Works, if you know where that's at, across from the American Legion Post. And they will take your old computers and so anything technology-wise, they'll take them. In most cases, they'll take them free, and then they'll recycle them. And of course, some of it's harvesting the precious metals and stuff. Some of the things out there, if it's big and cumbersome, there's a small fee for them to take it. But if you haven't used them before, you need to go find them and get rid of some of your old stuff and everything. But that's one of the things that's out there, is there's just a lot of precious metals. Kind of like a couple of months ago, Asa and I were talking about catalytic converters and how they have palladium, platinum, and rhodium. And so, just a lot of applications for some of these things. Gold prices power to 9-year high, more upside likely. Gold market has room to run higher as prices push back above 1,800. Gold at 1,800, there's little to stop the gold up trajectory. And that's from Bloomberg Intelligence. Gold investment demand hits new record in June. World Gold Council. Hedge funds bullish on gold, but reluctant chasing the price above 1,800. And copper market to tighten further. Gold is resisting positive market sentiment. I mean, just on and on and on as far as some of these. Here's one probably I should bring out. Gold, silver prices see normal corrective pullbacks and uptrends. And, like I said, it's always like they take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. What you have to understand is that sometimes, there's us, Asa and myself, and some of you that, we're buying a coin at a time, or, a couple ounces here or there. And that's big for our budgets. But there's huge institutions out there, and there's huge central banks out there that when they're buying gold, they're buying it by the ton. And so, we've talked about supply and demand a lot of times. If all of a sudden one of them decides they want to sell a ton, there's that coming on the market, and you'll see the price kind of drift down just because there's so much available to buy and stuff. So I'm not ever going to tell you that it's going to be a straight line up, or for that matter, a straight line down. I mean, it's always going to have its pullbacks and so forth. So that's why we kind of believe in the dollar cost averaging format, which is perfect for the coin a month option.
Yes, absolutely. So as we were talking about, you can get any of the number of coins once a month. Tony actually has been getting a Gold Eagle a month, which as a 19-year-old college student, it's a little outside my budget, but my more humble Silver Eagle has been doing me well. So I'll start to collect them from each of the year, or obviously once a month for each of the year. So I'll have 12 per year from a variety of states. Hopefully, as I said, I already collected one for Louisiana, and as we were talking about earlier, not only does historically the price of these coins go up, but some years in particular go up far more than others. What was it? 1999 was the. It was 1996 and 1999 are, I think, are 2 years that did way better than others.
Oh, real home runs. Yeah, 96, those coins are over $6,000 a piece. So you got to figure there's 12 of them. That's what, 72 grand just from 12 coins.
If you're paying $100 per each of them, that's not bad.
And the 99 ones are over $19,000 a piece.
Mm.
And that's kind of the point, is you never know which ones are going to appreciate the most. Some people think the 99s appreciated the most because of Y2K and all that was going on. But no one knows. So that's why it just makes a lot of sense to just have a systematic approach. Let's get one or two or however many you can afford on a monthly basis. You know, what we're always trying to tell people to do is to not do the $1.2 million mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell them how that
I would
works?
love to tell them the $1.2 million mistake. So, from 1986, if you had bought one gold or one silver dollar, so one silver eagle per month since 1986 to today, you would have $1.2 million worth of silver. And all that would cost you, even if you paid the price of, what, $100 a month, like you would today, all that would cost you is about $5,000 to $6,000.
Oh,
Oh, did I make a mistake?
correction.
Math error?
Actually, last night I was messing around with this on my calculator. You'd have 415 coins by now, as of July 1st.
Oh, that, yeah, it doesn't add up.
And at that cost, if you're doing it with the auto ship program and stuff, it'd be about 43,000 and change.
Okay.
So 43,000 in, all in, and 1.2 million if you wanted to cash out. That's, in my book, that's not a bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, you know, you get, what, 3 coins from 1999 that's already paid for itself?
Yeah, and you've also got full liquidity. I mean, because, you know, one of the things is that if you're doing it through 7K Metals, they always tell you they'll buy back, you know, anything you buy from them and stuff. And, you know, let me just take a moment to say, I mean, we're kind of like, you know, skewing the program towards 7K Metals, and you know there's a couple reasons why that happens, just because they're pretty good in some areas, but we do have a multitude of gold and silver options to choose from, and you know, you can remember hopefully from prior shows or go on YouTube and see prior shows. You know, one of my other favorites is National Gold Consultants out of Minneapolis. If you're an accredited investor, I would urge you to, you know, give me a shout and let's talk to Ryan up there. He's got some great strategies that not only include gold and silver, but include tax advantages and privacy advantages, things like that with some of those pre-33 coins. So, you know, he's got some strategies that if you are an accredited investor, might make a lot of sense, especially with not knowing what's you know right around the corner and stuff. One other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we get into the stewardship course is one of my other sources, a company called Vaultoro, out of I believe they're out of London is their home office, but they came out with an article this week, actually June 30th. So Egypt may be home to a gold deposit worth 1.8 billion. And so my point of sharing that with you is that there's still people finding gold deposits around the world that have yet to be discovered. And this one just got discovered. There's only, I think, 2 licenses so far that have been issued, excuse me, for companies to go in and mine. And if you can see this picture, It's in eastern Egypt, and so needless to say, somebody's going to have to not only know what they're doing, but have a large expense to set up a mining operation there. And I don't know if we'll see any of that gold filter into the market anytime soon, but they know it's there, and there's people starting to, get ready to start trying to mine it. And
There's gold in them there hills.
yeah, there is. Shock and surprise. Anyway, I don't know if that is as exciting to you folks as it is to me, but
Excited to me for sure.
yeah, we like that kind of stuff just because it brings some more gold into our hands and stuff.
And I realized where I got that 4,000 to 5,000 number. I forgot a zero. It says it's 40 to 50,000. So yeah.
There we go. Yeah, it's early.
More yeah, exactly.
Ace is more of a evening person. He's not really a
This is
morning
true.
person.
The sad part is I can do math. It's just my brain's not working right now. So
I don't even know if he's had any caffeine yet to this
I
moment.
haven't. He's
so.
cheated. He's had an energy drink.
Anyway, hey, here I've got a new devotional from a new stewardship course that we're going to start today. This is kind of, I think, short and sweet, but we'll work on this one for a couple of weeks and stuff. And for those of you that are from the Acts ministry, you know that I like to have the stewardship course in here because we're grateful for an opportunity to have the show on the Acts Media Group channels. And after all, it is God's money when you talk about sound money, which is gold and silver and stuff. So this particular lesson is understanding financial stewardship. And this first devotional is, what is your net worth? Net worth is a concept most people understand safely in terms of finance. It refers to the numerical figure remaining after your debts have been subtracted from your assets. Ideally, the amount is a positive number, not a negative one. The larger the number, the richer you're thought to be from a human perspective. But from God's perspective, net worth is quite different. He sees the whole of your life when he views your prosperity. He doesn't divide your life into segments and evaluate you according to some kind of average of strengths and weaknesses. God looks instead at his immeasurable love for you and the sacrifice Jesus Christ made on the cross. In that light, you're beyond any measurement that might be associated with value. And that's John 3:16. Once you've accepted Christ as your Savior and have received God's forgiveness for your sins, you're fully vested in God's total prosperity plan. You qualify fully for his promises related to prosperity and blessing. That isn't the case for non-believers. People who've not accepted Christ simply cannot experience full blessing. According to God's definition of blessing, primarily because being prosperous includes prosperity in the spiritual life, moving forward, there are two key concepts we must understand. One, prosperity relates to your entire life. A person can be rich and still not be prosperous. When you think of blessing and prosperity, you must think in terms of life's whole, a harmony that has spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, and relational dimensions. Two, prosperity is God's plan for every believer. God's greatest desire is that you be a whole person. He desires to bless you and cause you to grow in every area of your life in a balanced and fruitful way as you fulfill his destiny on earth. God wants you to prosper, and his plan for you goes far beyond mere financial security because he inhabits your entire life. He wants you to flourish in all areas, not just monetary ones. So, like I said, kind of short and sweet as compared to the last one we were working through, but still very powerful. I think the bottom line there is that, you don't want to be one-dimensional and just focus on money. If you are fortunate enough to have a net worth and stuff, I think his intention is for us to, show his omnipotence by sharing that, by helping others and showing them, if they don't have Christ in their life, maybe sharing a Bible with them and so forth. Some of the ministries in Acts Ministry are very good with that. We've got one that works with veterans. We've got some others that, are out there actually on a daily basis, walking the streets of Branson and Springfield, trying to help those less fortunate. So anytime you can see it to, do a tithe or a donation to Acts Ministry, I know it's much appreciated, and it's going to a good area. It's going to a good ministry as far as how they'll put that money to use and so forth. But Anyway, with that said, what's our next fun thing we want to do?
Well, I thought that was great because that fits right into our mission, which is helping people have sound money, and not have to always constantly be obsessing on the security of their welfare, so that moving forward they can focus on other things, so they don't have to focus on an obsession with money. And that's why something like a coin a month program is so nice, is because you can just have that ticking as the months go by. You can start collecting sound money behind you, and you don't have to constantly be obsessing about it. You can be doing other things. You can be leading the life you want to while also not constantly having to have your mind on that. That actually leads pretty nicely into what I wanted to talk about. We were kind of talking about this a second ago, but as far as supply and demand goes for gold, and as far as the market goes. So as we've said, and we were talking about this earlier, scholars have shown that historically, whenever the market is stimulated with is suddenly stimulated with a large amount of money, or a large amount of created money, that historically takes a downturn afterwards, right?
Correct.
So, as a downturn becomes more imminent, I'm not guaranteed, of course, but much more likely, as scholars would argue, and as it continues to fear, as we continue to fear it may be as bad as even March was, it's important that people start to invest in money that will combat that, like gold and silver. Now, the issue there is that as more people begin to do this, and as more people invest in gold and silver, since it is a limited resource, the more people that demand it, the higher the price is going to be. So the price of gold and silver is going to likely continue to rise as long as people are interested in buying it to fight this economic turn. As a result, the gold and silver's price will probably continue to rise even more than it's currently doing so, as it's fighting the dollar. Again, no guarantees there. We can't guarantee anything. After all, we say gold and silver is a type of resource that goes 2 steps up, 1 step back. But that's why it's important to take a look at it now. See if that could fit for you now, because we're already seeing it's already at the price that it was in 2011, or the highest price it's been since 2011. And it seems like it's showing signs that it's going to continue to grow. And this is even before another downturn like what we saw in March. So if something like that did happen, then it may be even or significantly higher. So my suggestion would be to significantly look at your portfolio and see whether or not this would be a smart investment for you today. Now, on that note, I wanted to talk about, or continue to flesh out what we're talking about the $1.2 million mistake. And then after beating dead horses we've already talked about, we'll move on to some new things. So,
well, one thing that's kind of new is a good friend of mine, E.B. Tucker, was recently interviewed on, I think it was Kitco News or something. And E.B. for years has written for KC Research, I believe it is. And he has a new book out called Why Gold, Why Now? And I think you can get it, Amazon, all these different places online and so forth. And Kindle, I believe it's there and whatnot. But I was watching the interview the other day, and I told Asa, I said, we need to do this. And when you hear what it is, you'll understand his response, because it was like, I don't know. But I mean, it's a long interview, and this isn't all of it, but the gist of what EB was talking about was he had a gold eagle. So imagine, let me have your silver eagle just for a second, please.
you're going to give it back, right?
Possibly.
I need a promise.
I promise.
Okay.
So, so a gold eagle would look just like this, but it's gold. And of course, in today's market, it'd be over $1,800 spot price. Being a gold eagle, it's probably, more closer to 1,900 with all the premium and stuff being a coin and all this kind of stuff. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that a gold eagle would be about this size, just gold. And he was talking about how in the old days, like 1971, for example, and then he had a stack of $1 bills, and it was only about this big, this thick. And he goes, that'd be about 35, $1 bills, just like this. And he goes, but today, and then he's got 1,800 plus $1 bills, all wrapped. I guess they're wrapped in bundles of 100. but they're like this big. He goes, this is what you would have to use to buy an ounce of gold. And so in the old days, it was this. Today, it is this. And I told Asa, I said, we need to come up with these props so we can show them on the show. And Asa was like, I don't want to get all those $1 bills.
Yeah, why would they getting our $1,800 $1 bills is some dedication, but not quite the one we want to put it.
But the point that I need to make sure everybody understands is the 1 ounce of gold didn't change. The 1 ounce of gold stayed the same. It was the same in 71 as it is today as far as being an ounce of gold. It's just that because of our lives, our markets, our economies, and everything else, inflation and stuff, it takes this many $1 bills to get one today, whereas back in 71, it was this many. And sometimes visuals, I think, tell a better story. You know, that's kind of like why one of the things I really like, Ace and I don't know if you want to do the real estate one and I'll do the Mustang one or vice versa, but, you know, sometimes we're always talking about, okay, if you went back to 1965 and let's say you wanted to buy a Ford Mustang when they first came out, what would it have cost? Well, about $2,500, brand new Ford Mustang, 1965. You could have bought it back then for 2,500 $1 bills or 2,500 ounces of silver. Now, let's fast forward to today. If you went into a Ford dealership and wanted to buy a new Ford Mustang and you had 2,500 $1 bills, I don't know if they'd laugh at you, but they'd probably, you know, kind of look at you like, okay, well, so are you going to finance the rest? Or, you know, I mean, you're not going to, you may get the crowbar and the spare tire and, you know, a picture of it or something like that, but you're not going to buy a new car for $2,500. Whereas if you walked into that same dealership and you had 2,500 ounces of silver, excuse me, not only could you buy one, but you possibly could buy two. I mean, you know, as long as you were buying the 6-cylinder and the cloth interior and things like that, you might be able to squeeze two Ford Mustangs out of what 2,500 ounces of silver is today. And I think that just speaks volume. I mean, I don't know if you're ready to talk about the real estate idea, but...
Well, yes, of course. Although, real quickly, I wanted to clarify that when you were talking about how many $1 bills it used to take, thank you. Just for everyone to hear, he gave me my silver dollar back, so that's very important. Silver Eagle, I should say. But when he was talking about how many dollar bills it would take to buy a Gold Eagle years prior versus now, he was doing the this and the this. So people that can't see our visuals right now.
Yeah. I forgot.
It's okay. So the first this was probably the, like, just if you take your fingers and, like, you know, put them towards each other with enough space to have like a sideways Lego block, that's about how many $1 bills it would take, about 35. Versus if you put your arms across each other with enough of a gap to store a fire hydrant, that's how many $1 bills it would take stacked on each other to pay for it. So $35 versus $1,800. So quite a difference when you're imagining just like the visual of the money. And then, because sometimes when you're thinking of the number, like 1,800 doesn't quite, you don't quite understand how much that is. I think it was said after like the number 100, people start to lose track of just how much the size of the number is. But back on the real estate example, which I think is great, whether you can see our visuals or not, the fact is that people are often talking about how lucrative investing in real estate can be. They state that that's like one of the most sound and beneficial investments, especially if you invested in real estate previously, because it's so valuable now. But if we look at 1965, which was how many years ago? You were born around then.
I remember 65. That was a good year.
Oh, was it a good year?
Yeah.
That was back when you were in your 40s, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, of course.
You don't look a day over 86.
Oh.
Just kidding.
So, yeah. That was about 55 years ago. If you invested $10,000 in the housing market, that $10,000 today would be worth $85,803, which by no means is too shabby. That's about an 850% increase in your investment. Also, that's how much you would have gotten in 2019, I should say, because now it's 2020. But versus if you invested $10,000 in gold in 1965, you wouldn't just get $85,000. You would get 421,781, which is a 4,210% increase in your investment, which is quite impressive. So this real estate, which is supposed to be such a fantastic investment, and it is, I won't deny that, is being paled in comparison to the benefit that could be seen from investing in gold. Not only that, but gold itself, similar to real estate, is a sound investment because it's based on a real resource, unlike the fiat currency of bonds, stocks, or other forms of investment.
Well, and you know, to carry that thought maybe just a little bit further, you know, Asa was talking a little while ago about supply and demand and so forth, and you know, I just wanted to add that, you know, sometimes human nature is kind of funny. You know, sometimes when there's a vast amount available of something, it could be, you know, apples in the produce section, it could be, you know, red wagons at the toy store. I mean, I could sit here and make all kinds of analogies and stuff, but sometimes, you know, as humans, we don't really, you know, say, I'll get it next time, or I'll get it later, you know, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, when there's some scarcity, and they're down to like one more apple, or one more red wagon, or one more ounce of gold, you know, all of a sudden, you know, oh, I've got to get that, you know, and not only you, but a lot of people are feeling that same way, so the price goes straight up. And you know, I think what he was trying to do is just kind of suggest that, you know, if you see this as being a good idea for your portfolio and your life and stuff, it might be wise to add some now as compared to waiting until, you know, gold is $5,000 an ounce. Because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be people that are going to wait until, you know, it's 5,000 an ounce, or silver is 150 an ounce, and they're going to be like, you know, because it's just, it's human nature. Even though we're always saying buy low, sell high, a lot of folks tend to buy high and sell low. And you know, and I've been guilty of that in my life before. You know, peer group pressure. Oh, I got to get XYZ, and I get it, and you know, 6 months later, it's like I can't stomach this anymore. And you know, I mean, that's one of the benefits of being 62 is I've seen a lot of these different markets, and I've had some good experiences and some bad, and so forth like that. One of the things, though, that I find interesting is there's a lot of stuff that influences the way we think as Americans, and the way we approach money. And I know we're all aware that there's an election coming up in November, and boy howdy, that's going to be, you know, an interesting 4 months between now and then with everything that's going on. And stuff. But, you know, I get a lot of people that kind of write in, they either text me or they email me, and, you know, some of the issues that they're wanting to see talked about are rather interesting. And I thought I'd just kind of throw out a few just to see if anybody out there has the same questions or feelings, and, you know, if we can get a dialogue. Because I think in a way some of these could actually influence the way the people on Capitol Hill make decisions that could influence, you know, the price of gold, that could influence the way the markets go, the economy, things like that. You know, one thing that came up was should felons have the ability to vote? And you know, I don't know either way which is the best way. I mean, I'm going to play neutral on these just for the moment. But that has come up a couple times. I've had a few people ask if that's something that should be discussed.
I have my opinion, but I'm not going to share it on the radio.
And then another one was, should we have mail-in ballots? You know, there's talk of that. And I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, you know, the person that threw that in is obviously reading the news, and how I think it's Trump or somebody saying maybe we should do mail-in ballots in November. But if you have a thought on that, that might be kind of interesting to discuss and hear and so forth. No free college, no federal dollars going to provide free college for folks. And we've got a college student right here.
Also a hot topic.
You know, so that might be something. And believe it or not, one person was wanting to know about, you know, the way Congress and the Senate are handled when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. I mean, they've got their own their own deal. Maybe they should be on Social Security and Medicare like most of us when the time comes. I'm not quite there yet.
I don't know.
But and then here's a real interesting one. I had a couple people that were wanting to talk about limited terms, and as far as being a representative and stuff. And I don't know if that is something anybody has a theory on or something like that. Infrastructure, the infrastructure in our country. There's a lot of bridges. There's a lot of things that haven't been updated in probably decades, and wouldn't that possibly create some jobs and some benefit for the United States citizens and stuff? So, and then should the Senate and the House be able to use proxy votes, or should they be in attendance? And I got enough of these from different places, sources and stuff. I just kind of started writing them down and thought I'd throw them out as just maybe an idea that for future shows, if you'd like to see us, kind of get into those areas as far as their influence on monetary policy and the markets and different decisions that are made on Capitol Hills, we could do that. I mean, Mom always said, don't mix religion and politics, and here we are on a Christian broadcast channel, the Axe Media Group. So, I mean, I guess it's okay. I hope it's okay. But, these are just some of the things that I get through the communications we have. Like I've always said, you can reach me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com, or you're always welcome to text me or call me at 417-755-0700. One of the things that I kind of wanted to mention this morning a little bit is a little bit of my ministry and I guess ACE's ministry. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is, with everything that's going on in the country, I mean, let's just focus on 7K for a second. If we've got a lot of demand, we're keeping busy. It's one of those things where just yesterday I had somebody that came in with our plus package, I guess you'd call it. And my point is that if somebody's looking for work, if somebody's wanting to help with the distribution of gold and silver, we've got solutions. Now granted, sometimes there's a little bit of money required to get started, but it's nothing like starting a franchise or anything like that. I mean, this gentleman yesterday put $499 in and got the plus membership. The other memberships are $359, and then the base one that ACE's got is $199. But the point is that all of a sudden you've got a way to make money for your family to help support them and stuff. And not that we're going to have a full-blown recruiting presentation or anything, but just if you've got someone out there that's got some gumption and stuff like that, and they're looking for something to do, by all means, send them our way. Asa is, he's almost keeping a full-time schedule helping me with some of the stuff, and you can always go to Asa's website at 7kmetals.com/ASA.
ASA, just my name now, ASA.
ASA.
That's easy to spell.
Mm-hmm.
So
3
Two
letters.
letters are the first letter of the alphabet.
Or, of course, going to 7kmetals.com/Tony Hammock.
that's true. That's true. We've got all kinds of things going on there. But anyway, Matt gave me the 5-minute sign 5 minutes ago. I don't know how much time we
It
got.
was 6 minutes ago, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, real quickly, talking about the topic we were talking about a second ago, I wanted to clarify. What I started to say is I have my opinions, but I'm not going to talk about them on the radio unless we have a dialogue or interest, because it's never good, I would think, to just speak your opinion without kind of gauging other people's.
And it's always good to have someone of a differing opinion there with
exactly,
you,
precisely.
because we're not them.
Precisely. So if you have any feelings on these topics or want to discuss them, please write in. Let us know. We would be happy to discuss them later. Kind of bounce some ideas off of what you think, what we think, what the scholars think, etc. So, yeah.
Well, and Matt, I don't know if you want to real quick mention anything about July 16th and 17th, but
We got the Axe Fest coming up. I'm sure you guys can still hear me just fine on this.
I can hear you fine, yeah.
We got Axe Fest coming up the 16th and 17th. If you are a minister or a subordinate, you have to make it. You have to register, and you have to. It's gonna be required, because this is all good information. If you can't come here and sit down, you can register and watch them at home at your leisure. And then you'll have until August to be able to turn in just a brief explanation of what each class was about. If you're at Axe University, there will be some college credits involved. So, but get online to axemediagroup.com, check it out, and there's a way to register there. You have to go through our PayPal account. That's how, and you have to do $25 a day. Do one for one day and one for the other. Day one is 101 through 104. That's the class numbers or the session numbers. And then day two is 201 through 204. So go on there and check it out. Read about it and read why it's important. There's an article on there now as to exactly why it's so important this year that everybody attend in one way or the other.
Well, and I got to tell you that Ace and I are going to be presenting 2 classes on the morning of the 17th, I believe. One's from 9 to 9:45, and the other one's from 10 to 10:45. And we're not going to be doing our normal, type of stuff. We're going to actually focus on the buyer certification program. We're not going to be able to get all 12 lessons in, but we'll be able to get several, so that for those of those, yeah, I mean, there's some neat stuff in there, and
you have to be registered before you can even walk through the door.
Yep.
And it's going to be COVID-19 compliant.
Masks.
Masks and stuff. I think the presenters aren't required. I'm not sure. I'll have to check with Jim on that. But and masks will be provided. There will be someone checking temperatures at the door, doing a help thing to make sure that we are on the up and up.
Well, these 2 presenters will be making sure that we're compliant.
Yeah.
You
will be compliant. Otherwise,
yeah,
we'll make sure everybody will be compliant.
Very
that
good.
Day, so.
I just flashed forward to thinking, what if I'm nervous and my temperature kind of spikes? I won't be able to get in.
I think the fever is a significant one.
Oh.
But I'm not a doctor. My doctor told me that if you're going to have a fever because of it, it's going to be a significant one.
Really?
That you will know.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
And plus, worst case scenario, I mean, I'll just handle the presentation, right?
Well, that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
we'll fit something in there.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get you a Zoom
Well,
or something.
I don't think.
I think
Okay.
at that point, if we'd already used 6 of the 5 minutes, let me
Yeah,
just
we're
let me just
already way behind.
yeah,
Oh,
let me just
sorry.
close with
We
this.
got Jeff and Peggy Lee
Oh, hey.
coming up next.
Well, we're always grateful to Jim and Pam Whining for letting us come on the air here, and of course, Dr. Paul Collins. Without Dr. Paul, none of this would probably be happening, and so we're grateful for that. And if we'll see you next week, hopefully on the show, but then after that, hopefully we'll see you at Axe Fest, and that is July 16th and 17th. And other than that, have a safe week, and we will see you next time.
Take care.